Hey everyone, you've studied enough. It's time to review and check. This is for chapters 1 and 2. Well, before we start, make sure to like and subscribe. Let's get to it. The first set of the exercises. Grammar. Look A. Complete the sentences with one word. B. Circle A, B, or C. Alright, we have two exercises. You can stop the video, take your time, and do it yourself. If you have done it, well, you can do it with me. Let's go. Number 1, what were you and Sarah talking about? Number 2, you didn't like her latest novel, did you? Number 3, my father loves opera and so does my mother. Number 4, I've been to India twice. You have? I'd love to go. Number 5, what have you been doing since I last saw you? Very good. Next one. Could you tell me what time the bus leaves? Number 2, how many people use this computer? Number 3, you're not eating much. Don't you like the food? Number 4, why didn't you call me? I did call, but your phone was off. Number 5, the slower you work, the later you'll finish. Number 6, I've had 3 cups of coffee already this morning. Number 7, that was probably the worst movie I've ever seen. Number 8, I met a Japanese girl in my language class today. Number 9, some people think that the rich don't pay enough tax. And number 10, I got a beautiful Italian leather bag for my birthday. Very good, you did great. Well, enough about grammar. Let's do some vocabulary test. A. Complete the compound adjectives. B. Write words for the definitions. C. Circle the correct verb or verb phrase. D. Circle the word that is different. And E. Complete with one word only. As always, take your time, stop the video, and do it yourself. If you have done it, alright, check your answers with your friends. Yeah, compare your answers. Let's do it with me. Number 1, my boss is very bad-tempered. When things go wrong, he starts shouting at everyone. Number 2, I'm very laid back. Nothing really bothers me. Number 3, I think Paul is very tight-fisted. He never spends money unless he absolutely has to. Number 4, Sylvia won't have any problems at the interview. She's very self-confident. Well done. Number 5, that dress is very old-fashioned. It looks like the kind of thing my grandma would wear. Alright, B. To lose blood from a wound or injury. What is that? Bleed. Bigger than normal, especially because of an injury or infection. Swollen. A piece of cloth used to tie around a part of the body that has been hurt. Bandage. A pain in one of your teeth. Toothache. An area of red spots caused by an illness or allergy. Rash. Okay? Now the correct verb or verb phrase. I feel a little dizzy. I need to sit down. Number 2, she sprained her ankle when she was jogging. Number 3, it was so hot in the room that I nearly fainted. Number 4, this skirt doesn't fit me. It's too big. And number 5, can I go in jeans? I don't feel like getting changed. All right, very good. Now, next one, the different word. Striped, dotted, plain, patterned. Well, plain. Silk, cotton, fur, neat, neat. Collar, sleeveless, hooded, long sleeve. Well, collar. Number 4, lycra, scarf, vest, cardigan. Well, lycra. Number 5, fashionable, scruffy, stylish, trendy, scruffy. All right, and complete with one word. My mother had a very bad case of the flu last week, but she's beginning to get over it now. Number 2, please lie down on the couch over there. Number 3, I'm feeling sick. I think I'm going to throw up. Do we really need to dress up for the party tonight? Last one, please hang up your clothes in the closet. And that's all there is to it for the vocabulary exercises. You're great. Believe in yourself. It's time for pronunciation. Let's do all of it with me. Circle the word with a different sound. All right. Ache, choke, change, matches. Of course, ache. It's chest. Shower, unconscious, rash, fashion, suede. Fish, injury, striped, silk, blister, striped. All right, next one, jeans, leather, velvet, denim, jeans. And boot, cough, flu, suit, loose, cough. All right, now underline the stressed syllable. The first one, incredibly. Number 2, big-headed. Number 3, antibiotics. All right. Number 4, swimsuit. And number 5, fashionable. Very good, everyone. Very good indeed. And all the way to my favorite part. Everybody, the rise of the shamans. Read the article once. What do shamans do? Take your time, read, and answer this question for me. I'll wait for you.
A few moments later.
Great. Now first, let's read it together, me and you. The sounds of drum beats reverberates in the small conference room as the shaman goes into a trance. The others present, their eyes closed, focus on the rhythmic sounds of the drum. The shaman, in his trance, makes the journey to a parallel reality in search of solutions to various problems the group has brought with it. For most people, this may seem weird, but it is becoming a fairly common experience for others. People from many different professions, students, businessmen, housewives, even former soldiers are turning to shamanism, an ancient spiritual practice where the practitioner communes with spirit guides to gain access to information and healing. Cosima Klinger-Paul, I hate reading names, an Austrian who moved to India in 2000 has started a school of shamanism, says that the interest in the practice is not surprising. Shamanism has always been there in every culture. It is the oldest healing method of mankind. Okay? So how exactly does shamanism work? Shamans believe that all illnesses have a spiritual cause, which is reflected into the physical body. Healing the spiritual cause heals the physical body. An important shamanic belief is the concept of soul loss. Shamanic cultures around the world believe that whenever someone suffers an extreme physical or emotional trauma, a piece of his soul falls off. Soul loss manifests in most people through feeling of emptiness and depression. Once the person gets the missing part of his soul back, shamans believe that the lost vitality and health also comes back. But is it really as simplistic as this? Those who have undergone shamanic healing sessions seem to think so. Harnam Sidhu, a 46-year-old marketing executive, swears by practice it helped reverse my disease. He says Sidhu was suffering from glaucoma, a degenerative condition that causes the loss of optic nerves leading to blindness. Doctors had told him it was a matter of months before he went completely blind in the bad eye. As a last resort, he tried shamanism. After a few sessions where he went for a checkup, his doctor told him that a miracle had happened. His condition was starting to reverse. Shelly Hanna, who took shamanic healing for a frozen shoulder condition, says 80% of her pain vanished after the session. I went as a skeptic, but I was amazed by the experience that I resolved to learn shamanism myself. Was it really shamanism at work or simply a placebo effect? Believers stress that shamanic healing is an established tradition that has been tested time and again over centuries. Shamanism is not a religion, but an adventure into one's own mind, says Klinger Paul. It takes time to become familiar and to deal with the spiritual world. I tend to say no to requests for quick healing. This is not a spiritual aspirin that you can take and be healed. All right, so what do they do exactly? Well, shamans go into a trance and they try to find the solutions to people's problems. Okay, very good, not bad. But we're not done yet. Read the article again and choose A, B, or C. Again, it's your part, your turn.
A few minutes later.
Great. Number 1. According to the article, shamans help people to solve their health problems. Number 2, shamans heal people by dealing with their deep emotional problems. Number 3, Harnam Sidhu and Shelly Hanna did not initially believe that shamanism could help them. And according to Klinger Paul, shamanism requires time to work. And that's all there is to it for the reading part. You're doing great, day by day. And this is the last set for today. Everybody, watch this short movie, which is about the history of surgery, and mark the sentences true or false. Well, you know the drill. Let's get to it.
Hi, I'm in Southwark, in London. This area used to be the site of one of London's oldest hospitals, St Thomas's. St Thomas's was here for almost 700 years and had one of the country's first ever operating theatres.
Have you ever had an operation? If you have, it was probably in an operating theatre like this. These modern theatres are clean, spacious, and bright. As you can see, they are full of high-tech equipment. And they are designed to make surgery as clean and as safe as possible. They usually have an adjustable metal operating table in the center of the room. Above the table, there are several large fluorescent lights, which allow surgeons to see everything. At the head of the table, there's an anesthetic machine, and around the room there are various monitors, measuring heart rate, blood pressure, and blood oxygen levels.
But what about old operating theatres? What were they like? Well, that's why I've come here. You see, St Thomas's old operating theatre used to be in the attic of this church.
The hospital was moved from here in the 1860s. But when a historian decided to investigate the church's old attic, he found a large abandoned room containing some old-fashioned surgical equipment.
Today, this room is part of the Old Operating Theatre Museum. The museum has been teaching visitors about the history of surgery for over 50 years.
The first question many people ask when they come here is, why is it called an operating theatre? Well, the answer is simple. As you can see, medical students used to stand here and watch the surgery, like an audience watching a play in a theatre. During operations, the room was always cramped and crowded, and the bigger and bloodier the operation, the bigger the audience.
Imagine how frightening it must have been for the poor patients. And they were usually quite poor. The rich had their operations at home, but the poor would tolerate the audience in order to receive surgery they would never be able to afford otherwise.
The patient would lie on this uncomfortable wooden bench while the surgeon worked. There was no anesthetic, so patients were awake throughout the procedure, unless, of course, they fainted. The surgeons were quick. They could amputate a leg in less than a minute, but they had very little understanding of hygiene.
There were no antiseptics, and surgeons always wore the same coats, which were usually covered with blood from previous operations.
They often used dirty instruments, which were kept on this old wooden table, and they rarely washed their hands. Below the operating table, there was a wooden box filled with sawdust or wood shavings. This collected the blood from each operation. But often there was too much blood, so in the end they built a false floor. The blood could be washed away and collected in the space between the new floor and the original floor. In such unhygienic conditions, it isn't surprising that patients often died during surgery. After the patient's death, their bones and organs were kept for further study.
All of these practices seem primitive to us today, but without these techniques, we might never have developed the cleaner, safer procedures we have today. That's something we can all be grateful for.
Well, that was really interesting. I never thought that in the previous times, in the old times, it was such a very basic procedure. But thank God, because I've had surgeries myself, and I'm glad that these things didn't happen to me. So I'm doing great. Okay. St. Thomas's Hospital had a very early operating theater. True. In the modern operating theater, there is a monitor to measure a patient's brain activity. False. Number 3, the room where the operating theater used to be is now a church. True. The room where operations took place were called theaters because the public came to watch. False. The theater was usually full for an operation. True. Most operations at St. Thomas's were done on rich people. Oh, no. False. Poor people. Number 7, surgeons used primitive forms of anesthetic. Well, there was no anesthetic, to be honest. Surgeons could cut off a limb very quickly. True. When there was a lot of blood during an operation, it was collected in a space under the floor. True. If patients died, their bodies were given back to their families. No, they would keep the organs. And that's the way the cookie crumbles. You can watch it multiple times and practice with your friends again. If you don't know a word, just look at the subtitle and try to translate it. Very well. And there you have it. We successfully reviewed chapters 1 and 2. Are you ready for the third one? Well, we'll see. As always, if you have a question, you can comment down below and I will get back to you. And if you want to support my work, you can always come up with a super thanks, or you can become a member for a little fee. It's all optional. I just need you to believe in yourself and never quit. See ya.